Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. This is Lade again. This is Mental Health Awareness Week, day 4. Day 4. Wow, we've done well. Like I said on Monday, the fact that we have been allowed by not exactly a legislative tool, was the fact that all over the world, or particularly in England, this was actually started by Mental Health First Aid England, or Mental Health Mental Health Federation England. The fact that we are all through the week going to raise awareness, going to be talking about mental health issue. There is a need for us to be aware. So thank you so much for joining us. Please share if you can, or if you can, please share, or invite people. Just invite people to join us as we go on this journey together. Yes, we started on Sunday by me giving a prelude of what is going to be expected or what we're doing this week. And also, on Monday, we talked about the signs. How do you cope? What are the triggers? What are your stressors? And we actually gave ourselves homeworks for all to do. I remember one of the things that I did mention, and I know that a lot of people have actually asked me that, oh, well, that can they really go to their GP to ask? Can they really go to their GP to ask for them for a mental health, for a cortisol test? And I said, yes, you can. You can actually, in a very scientific way, determine and know that you're stressed. So some people, a lot of us just like to use the word, I'm stressed, I'm stressed, I'm stressed. It can actually be proven whether you're stressed or not, because your cortisol level will go up higher, and that can be tested. For those who've been following us since Monday, that can be tested by you through your urine, through your blood, or through your saliva. So you can actually go to your doctor to find out whether you're stressed. I'll just kind of recap and bring us back again to the theme for this year's mental health awareness. The theme this year is stress. Stress. Life itself is stressful. So for anybody to think that, oh, you should live a life that is devoid of stress, it would be totally not very wise, because there will be stress everywhere. There's stress with being born. There's stress with dying. There's stress with almost everything. There's stress at work. There's stress with children. Life itself comes with stress. But there's a need for us to learn how to deal with the stress. And that is what we're talking about today. We need to deal with the stress. I'd just like to say thank you for all the people who have joined us today. Thank you very much, Uncle Lekan. Talani, good evening. Talani, good evening. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Sajid, for joining. Thank you, Joshua. Doc, Daddy Dots. Hey, thank you for joining. Shade, thanks for joining. Brother Kunle, thank you for joining. Charles Malke Mensa, thank you. Sataya, thank you for joining. I hope you're really enjoying this journey. And some of the things we're learning, like I said the first day, I'm learning as well. So it's not just about the fact that I'm talking to you guys. I am learning a lot. I'm learning from the interaction, from what people are saying. And of course, Honorable Bola Olivia, thank you so much for joining as well. Thank you so much. Yes, you're very right, Sataya. So much of stress because of you're chasing the passion. That's true. When we are chasing our passion, when we have things that we're looking out for, it can actually cause stress. It can. But today, there's a very key thing that I think we need to talk about. And that is, how do we balance work and life? And also, how do we support people who we know are stressed? Sometimes stress gets to a level where it's very difficult for you to cope. How do you support people who are stressed? And that's what we're talking about today. With me on the program today is a gentleman who I call a co-deliverer. He would introduce himself to you. Sometimes I think I prefer people to introduce themselves. If you are on Samuel, I can't see you. And I need to be able to see you to bring you on. Hey, Paul, thank you for joining. Temitokwe Tosi, thank you so much for joining. And for as many people who have joined and I can't see you, thank you. I really appreciate, because The knowledge that we're sharing this afternoon is the knowledge that we need in our community. I have this mantra that you cannot give what you don't have. If you don't know how to support people, if you don't even know how to support yourself, you can't give anything. And that's why a lot of us are breaking down, because issues come and we find it so difficult for us to cope with them. It becomes quite tough. Samuel, I'm going to bring you on now. So I have a gentleman with me who is a comrade. And when I say comrade, I'm a mental health first aid trainer. He's going to be a first aid trainer as well. And we're going to be singing from the same song sheet. And that's about how important it is for us to be trained to know how to deal with things when they do happen. We need to know how to deal with them. And mental health first aid training is all about getting the basic knowledge. It's not about diagnosing, it's about getting the basic knowledge. So bear with me one moment as I bring Samuel on now. Okay, Samuel, you'll see an invite. Just click on that guest. You'll be on, okay, support self. What is exactly to be done? Okay, we'll talk a little bit satire. We're going to talk a little bit about how we support ourselves. Hey, Samuel, thank you for joining.
Hi, how you doing?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, you're breaking up. I can't seem to hear you. Hello?
Okay, there's a bit of a delay when we speak. So, yeah, can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Okay, fantastic. Do you want to say hello and just introduce yourself to our viewers?
Hello, good evening. My name is Sam Lee. I'm based in Leeds. I'm a mental health first aid trainer. So I've got my own company in Leeds where I basically go into companies and I train their staff to recognize the signs and symptoms of mental health.
Okay.
So yes, that's me in short.
Okay, and this week we are talking about mental health awareness,
Yes, that's
isn't
right.
it? That's what we're doing
Yes,
this week.
definitely. It's been a really good week.
Raising awareness about mental health, about how to support ourselves. And of course, like you and I know, the theme for this year is stress.
Yes.
Stress. How do we cope with stress? So can I ask you, Samuel, how do you cope with stress?
How do I cope with stress? I always use the stress container about releasing your stress on a regular basis. I play a lot of sports.
Okay.
I've been playing badminton today. I've been training my son's football team today, so I do that as well today. I've got a fantastic family life. So almost every weekend, there's always something to do. There's somebody's birthday or a party or just hanging out with my wife. My wife and I, we chat every night, every evening, just talking about how the day's been. And so that's a good way to deal with stress, just talking to somebody.
That's a good way to deal with stress, by talking. So one of the things that we have talked about this week are coping mechanisms. So somebody, yesterday we talked about exam and stress, how exam, this season is season of exams. So primary school, they have their SAT exam, secondary school, they have their GCSE, university, they have their exams on as well. So what Noor, a young lady, what she said she does yesterday is very similar to what you just said that you do. She said she goes to the gym, and it actually does help her to de-stress. Are there any other things you think that people can do to de-stress?
A good diet is a good one, I think. A good diet is a very good one. There's different coping strategies. There's some good strategies and there's some bad ones. There's bad strategies like smoking. Is a bad coping strategy. Alcohol, too much consumption of alcohol generally. It's a bad coping strategy. Drugs is a very bad one as well. So you need to avoid those kind of things. The good coping strategies, we mentioned exercise already, and it's free. You can go for a walk. I tend to walk to my office as often as I possibly can. So, exercise is free. Eating well is free. What else is there? There's lots of different things. Family time.
Okay, I can suggest some. Music is one. Dancing is one. Praying is one. Talking to people is one.
Especially
lying in the bath is one. Having a good soak in a bath is
especially for
one.
men.
Having a pet is one. I'm still saying one. That's about 10.
Men need to talk. You know, I think for me, that's a big one. A lot of men don't talk.
Okay, I think we need to bear up a bit. Hold on, Samuel. Just let's hold on a bit. Because actually one of our contributors yesterday said, Lade, you need to bring men in so that men will talk about the stress they go through, because men don't talk when they're stressed.
That's right.
Is that
men
true?
Don't talk. You know, we self-medicate most of the time. And you know, I think that needs to change.
And why is that, if I may ask?
Why? In my opinion, I think the way we're brought up, men don't cry. A classic example, my sons and I, we go to the cinema on a weekly basis. And we went to see this movie with Hugh Jackman, The Greatest Showman. Yeah, very emotional movie. Very emotional movie. And at the end of it, you know, I was emotional because it was such a powerful movie. I've got two sons. One of them kind of was really emotional, and the other one wasn't. And it was a case of, oh, what are you crying for? And I had to say, exactly. I had to say, no, stop it. You know, Daddy's emotional too. It's an emotional movie. Be able to show how you feel. Be able to show what you're going through. And I think we men, we're raised not to cry. We're raised not to say we're feeling sad. We've got to look after the family. We've got to be strong. And to be honest with you, that is one of the reasons why within the construction industry, they've got the highest rate of suicide in there, because it's a male-dominated industry, and
the construction and also the armed forces and construction. Those two very male, high testosterone-driven skills and industry, they have a very high suicide rate. So men should talk. Men should talk. I think it's something that's slightly more fundamental, and I'm glad that you used the right example there. And that's when you talked about you taking your son out, and you know what your son said, you know, oh, don't be a baby, or well, he didn't say that, but that's what usually boys say to themselves. Don't be a baby, don't cry, don't be a baby. I think we need to, as the older generation and as parents, to try and correct that narrative with our kids. Don't you think so?
I believe so. I believe we need to start doing that now. We want to raise a generation of men who are actually in touch with their feelings. And I think, you know, that time is gone, where the man is the head of the, well, I still believe the man is the head of the family. You know, shoot me if you want to. But I still think right now we need to be, you know, women work, men work. Some women earn more than their husbands. So again, for me, that's a completely different topic. But I do think we need to encourage our men to talk some more and be in touch with their feelings, you know, be in touch with their emotions. So definitely that is very important. An important thing to see.
So it's okay for a man to cry.
Definitely.
It's not being a sissy for a man to cry.
No. It's not being a sissy at all. If you feel like crying, go for it. And I say that and I do that, you know. If I'm feeling emotional, I will talk. And actually, I've got a reputation of, if something's on my mind, you know about it, whether good or bad. You know,
which is good. I think a lot of men need to. I think one of the other issues that we need to do in our community, especially around dealing with stress, because we are still talking, for those who are just joining us now, I have Samuel Lee, who is a mental health first aid trainer. I'm a mental health first aid trainer as well. And we're just talking about stress. How do we cope with stress? One of the things that Samuel has mentioned is that, well, he does exercise, he takes his kids out weekly. He's got 2 boys. Every week they go out and they watch a film. And then we digressed a little bit, but still within the context of the conversation we're having. And the digression was that when he took his son out this weekend, they watched an emotional movie, and the little son said, or one of the sons said, oh, you know, you shouldn't cry. Why should you cry? And that just brings me, or that kind of brought us to the need for us to talk about men and stress, family and stress. Can our family sometimes contribute to our stress, or can they reduce our stress level? What do you think?
Family definitely can do both. So I mean, fortunately, I have an awesome family. I have my wife. I've got my 3 children. I've got my mom. My mom lives down the road. My sister lives down the road. My sister-in-law lives just down the road. I've got a family. I've got an awesome family unit. Um, and a lot of people probably do not have that, and so sometimes.
So let's talk about those who do not have that. So you have an ideal, which is good. I mean, it's enviable, it's good. But we do know that you're possibly just about 10% of the population, because the truth is we have a higher percentage of people who have issues in their family life. So how can people cope with the stress of family? There's stress from sibling rivalry. There's stress from marriage. There's stress from children. There's stress from extended family, from in-laws. How can you cope mentally? How can you protect yourself mentally when you know that the situation around you already is stressful?
Okay, this is a good question. I think a lot of people need to.
I hope the question will be tough. If any one of our viewers is actually hearing me and you think there's an answer to the question I've asked, can you please put it on? How can you cope when you're in a very negative, stressful family environment? We don't all have perfect family environment where it's good. I mean, do not be apologetic about what you have, Samuel. It's fantastic, you know. But however, there are very few numbers in our community who have those ideal circumstances that you mentioned. But how can people cope?
I think for me, for a lot of people, if you don't have your family, your blood family, family is not just your blood relatives. You know, family is having good friendships around. You know, I always use myself as an example, and I use people around me as an example. I've got a band of brothers, about 10 of us, and we get together.
Wow, I like the way you call them a band. A band of brothers.
And we get together maybe once every 2-3 months. Everybody works. Some people have 2-3 jobs. You know, I've got doctors in the group, I've got lawyers in the group, I've got cleaners in the group. There's nothing demarcating who's who and who's what. And we just get together. A different person would host, and we just chill. We meet about 9 o'clock in the evening in somebody's house, and we just chat. And we just chat. And most of us are married, you know, our wives know where we are, you know, and we just hang out. So I think you don't have to have your family around. You can create a community of people that you can talk to.
You can create friends, you can create a family. And that brings me to what Olivia just wrote on now. She just said, family is not just blood family. You can actually create a family from relationships that we have around us. So this brings us to one of the coping mechanisms that we can actually use to cope with stress. Create meaningful relationship, because it's one thing that is very, very helpful. So for those who are following us, create meaningful relationships. It's very, very helpful. It helps to reduce the stress. Make sure it's meaningful. I mean, watch out for that word meaningful. Because like I was saying to someone, sometimes the environment in which you're in can actually create more stress for you. So if you are in a relationship where it is manipulative, the other person has some narcissistic tendencies, it can actually frustrate or suck the life out of you. So create meaningful relationship. It actually does help to reduce and to take away stress. Okay, so I'm just going to go back some of the things some of our viewers have written here. I'll just quickly go back. We're still going to talk about mental health first aid training, which I think is very, very key. We're going to talk about that. So Olivia wrote here that, Olivia wrote here that talking to somebody helps to deal with stress. Yes. And she said exercise, family time, music, praying, dancing. Dancing is one thing that I know that I love to do. And I know Olivia loves to do as well.
Can I just say something real quick?
Sister Grace,
can I say something real quick about dancing?
Go ahead.
dancing, one of the things we talk about exercise, and people don't think about dancing being exercise. You know, something I actually do. I've got something like this, which is my watch. It's a counter. I've got a target I set for myself every day. I've got to do 13,000 steps. If by 6:37 I've not done that, guess what I do? I put on some music. And my children and I will dance. And we do that quite regularly.
Good.
You know, so dancing is a way of exercise, but it's also a way to feel great, to be happy. So yeah, great suggestion, Olivia. Absolutely awesome.
So we do dancing, not just dancing. I know here that, just bear with me one moment, support self. The screen is just going off and on. It just disappears on its own. Okay, Satya here has asked, said, I want to know how to control emotional stress. So do you think there's a way people can control emotional stress?
In what sense? I don't understand the question. Emotional.
Controlling emotional stress. Can you control emotional stress?
Yes.
Shall I answer that question? Okay, let me go ahead. Let me answer it. You cannot control emotional stress. You can put coping mechanism with emotional stress. So if you're stressed, for example, one of the things that I have learned to do, especially with dealing with people, is that I say to myself, 80% of who I am, or 80% of a situation or a circumstance, is determined by how I react.
Yeah.
So a person annoys me, or a person wants to put me in a stressful situation, it is how I react that will determine who I am in that situation. So I just walk away sometimes, or sometimes I just ignore. So there are some emotional stress that we can put coping mechanisms around. And if you think that the coping mechanism may be a way that you can control the stress, then, so be it. But emotions are usually reactions to things that we see. And what we can do further to the things that we see is how we cope with it, how we contain it, how we make it stay where it is, and we don't allow it to get bigger. That's my little answer. That's my two-cent answer. I'm not a psychologist. Both of us were not psychotherapists. We are mental health first aid trainers. And this is just one of the things that we talk about. So Olivia is still saying here that men rarely talk when they're going through stress, which is true, which I agree totally with. Men rarely talk when they're stressed. They don't like to talk. You've acknowledged that. And one of the things you said is that we need to, I think one of the suggestions you made actually, because the suggestion, or not a suggestion, what you said about what you practice with your band of brothers, I like that word, band of brothers, is the fact that you all come together, you go out and you do something positive. You just sit down, watch a film, go play football or whatever. I think men need to do this more, because one thing that I found out with men, correct me if I'm wrong, is that they're so contained and there's a lot of ego sometimes, and they build up a wall around themselves. Am I right or am I wrong? I'm a woman. I'm not a man.
Again, I just think a lot of us men have been brought up under that pressure of you do not talk about your feelings. You do not talk about, you just take it on and take it on and take it on. And I think it's just being able to stop that and being able to cut that out is the key, really. So it's that pressure that we're brought up with, that expectation. Look at Barbie and Ken. It's about that. You play with man toys, you play with soldiers. It's just those expectations. But yeah, men do tend to deal with things. And I think we just need to overcome that. So as a man, get 2-3 guys together and just go out. Even if you just sit in somebody's house and just chill out, have a drink, have some food, and just talk about life. That's the way to do it. That's what we need to do.
One of the ways. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Olivia asks here, how can a person cope when you are in a negative family environment? How can you cope when you're in a negative family environment? Do you have any one or two words?
I look at solutions. I try and when people give me a problem, I think about solution focused issue. So why is it negative? And why is it negative? I think that's the first thing to actually ask. If it's an abusive relationship, do you need to get out of it? No, you need to get out of it.
Okay.
So it's looking at, when you say negative family situation, why is it negative? And is there a solution? I've got a couple now that I'm talking to, and I'm encouraging them to see a marriage counselor. So again, talking is a good way. If there's nobody around you to talk to, maybe go and find somebody else. If you go to church, find somebody who's got a relationship that you respect. They've got a godly relationship. You can sit down with them, or wherever you go to. But look for people around you that you respect, that you look up to, and that you can talk to, and you know they will give you the right advice. You know they're not going to go and spread your business all over the road. And you know you can.
Absolutely. One of the things that I talk about, you need to make sure that you're talking in the right environment.
Talk to the right people, because you talk to the wrong people and it could be worse.
Yes.
So it's talking to people you can trust. Confidentiality, in my opinion, is massive. People you can rely on.
Yes, it does.
And I think that's a negative relationship. That's what you need to do. Find some positive being to talk to and get some help through that, I think. I don't know, what have you got to say? What do you think?
And then what I'll just mention as well is that where people feel that they are in environments where they can't talk to people, please do talk to your GP, especially when it's become very stressful and it's negatively impacting on your life. We need to realize that stress is, what's the right word to use for it now? Stress is something that slightly sleeps in. A lot of people are not even aware that they're stressed, especially alpha type. I talked about that. We probably will do another series on personality, how our personality type sometimes can affect our mental well-being. Because a lot of people don't realize that their personality type can actually affect their mental well-being. So the important thing is for you to know what's your personality type. Am I sanguine? Am I, just knowing what that is, and then knowing how to cope with it, accepting who you are and coping with it. But I'd just like to mention some few things about recognizing symptoms of burnout. Burnout and stress, they are very, very similar. So by the time a person is reaching burnout, it means that the person has been stressed several times and they did not recognize it. Like someone said earlier, he has a stress bucket. I mentioned that on Monday, that we all need to have a stress bucket. And as soon as that stress bucket is full, release it.
Even before,
let some
it gets full.
And the stress, before it gets full, release it, turn the tap off. So in essence, what we're saying is that let's see this as a stress bucket, and this is where the tap is. So by the time it's getting up there, don't wait until it overflows. When it overflows, that is when it pushes into other mental illness that we talked about on Monday, and also on Tuesday. When it overflows, it becomes very dangerous. But when you have a bucket like this, you just turn it on. Turn it on with the coping mechanism that you have devised. Go for a walk, talk to a friend, go for dancing, swim, go for jogging, go bicycling, learn something new, go and learn how to sew. Do something you've never done before. These are part of the ways in which we can cope with stress. Do something you've never, ever done before. So our health is one of the most valuable resources that we have. We need to keep it. Don't wait until your health breaks down. Don't wait until the stress bucket gets full and it's overflowing. You need to keep your health. You need to keep your health. Without good health, the truth is that don't expect to be successful professionally. Because professionally, yes, you may get up to an extent, but then you realize that you start to dip. You start to make mistakes at work. You start to become very undecided. You start to become snappy at work. You're writing emails and your emails are not properly written. And that is why our health is very important. And not just about our physical health, it's about our emotional health and and state of our mind. It is very, very important. Without this, we would not be able to cope. So before I digress, I'm going to just tell you to say some few things about mental health first aid training. Not you as a trainer, but what do you think mental health first aid training offers to people?
I'll use examples that I've personally, because I've been training people for 4 years now, and I regularly get emails from people saying thank you very much. And I remember an email I got recently from a training course I just did, and they're a mindfulness group, and I got an email from them saying they were running a session, and one of their students had a panic attack. And because of the technique I taught them during the course, they were actually able to help that person overcome the panic attack. So for me, mental health first aid is similar to normal first aid, whereby you help somebody at that point in time where they are. You meet them where they are. So what we do is we help people to recognize the signs and symptoms of mental health. We help people to be able to know what to say.
Mental illness, let's use the right word. We help people to recognize the signs and symptoms of mental illness. We all have mental health. Everybody has mental
health issues. Yes. If somebody's got a mental health issue or mental health, yes. So it's for you to help somebody who might be having an issue, might be having a challenge, being able to give them some guidance. And I think the difference between somebody who's first aid trained and somebody who isn't is that people will come and talk to you. I remember when I used to work in a company, and as a first aider, as a normal first aider, I would probably get one paper cut every 6 months. It's amazing how, as soon as I qualified as a mental health first aider, almost every week or every other week, somebody would want to have a word. Somebody would want to come and talk to me about the challenges they're going through. And I think that shows you the difference between normal first aid and mental health. 1 in 4 of us will have a mental health issue in a given year.
Yes.
So there's more mental health challenges than physical. So as a mental health first aider, you're helping people be able to cope and be able to support them and be able to guide them towards professional help as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Samuel. It's been so nice having you on this evening.
Thank you very much for having me.
Very short notice, but thank you, comrade.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, comrade. In this sector of raising awareness in our community, in the Black, Asian, and minority ethnic community, we do need to continue the conversation. I'm going to sign you off now, but I'll continue. So viewers, please stay tuned. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I think you're doing a fantastic job. More of us need to be doing more. Africans, Caribbean, Indian, everybody. We need to talk about mental health because we don't deal with it. So well done. Awesome job.
We don't.
Take care now.
Bye. Thank you. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Samuel, for joining us this evening. And I'm just not married because some of the things Samuel and I talked about earlier are very essential. How do you cope? We've talked about different ways in which you can cope. We've talked especially around men. We need to do another topic specifically for men, sometime soon, sometimes later. Why do we have a higher percentage of men dying by suicide? That is a topic for another day. I'll pack that by the side. And I'll just read this very quickly to you. I talked about how important our physical health is earlier. There's some health issues that cannot be anticipated or avoided, like an accident, but there's some factors of our everyday life that could be very limiting to our well-being. Do you often find yourself wondering if you're burnt out? I mean, do you often find yourself thinking, have I reached a state of burnout? Are you anticipating what your energy level will be? These are some of the things that you can actually think about. Your health is extremely impacted by your stress level. And that's why we're saying we need to contain our stress level, because your stress level, your health would impact your stress level. Sorry, your stress level would impact your health. You cannot separate it. So by the time you're feeling very anxious, you find out that your blood pressure is going up high and your heart is probably palpitating. You're having calming, your palm becomes very calming. You find it very difficult to sleep. You're worrying, you're thinking, you have temperature, you have backache, you have headache, you have tension headache, you have all of those things. So that means there's a need for us to know how to cope and deal with stress so it does not affect our physical health. And can I just say, and like a lot of you would know, a lot of us know already, that stress is a predisposing factor to a lot of physical illnesses. It predisposes a person, when you're stressed all the time, to cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, just name most of those diseases. Stress is a predisposing factor. It can trigger things up. And that's why we're saying we need to know how to deal with stress. One of the greatest stressors, I know that I gave you guys assignment, including myself, was to write down what your stressors are. And I know that one of them is money, which I think is a common thing. Money is a stressor. Like somebody wrote and asked that if I give him money, his stress level would go off. And I said, go to your bank, speak with your banker. Your banker will help you with that stress. I can. How do you acquire money? Of course, by working. Countless people stay in jobs they hate because they are afraid of not making ends meet. So they're so scared that they will not make ends meet. So they stay in a job that they hate, a job they can't stand. They choose to stay in careers that allow them to keep a steady paycheck coming in, even though they hate being at the office day after day. Don't let fear dictate your life. Like I advised on Monday, get to know who you are. Separate you, get to know who you are. Not you as a mother, not you as a father, as a sister, as a brother, as a niece, nephew, uncle, neighbor, wife, whatever. Get to know who you are. Do what you know you love to do. It is one of the greatest stressors that we have, frustration. When you're living an unfulfilled life, it causes stress. It's one of the greatest stressors and things that lead to depression. When you are very frustrated, you think this is where I should be, and you're not there yet. We need to learn how to deal with this. Don't let fear dictate your life. I will say that again. Please, 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 do not allow fear to dictate your life. Because as soon as fear dictates your life, you find yourself doing things that you do not exactly want to do. If you're only coming into work every day because you are scared that you won't be able to find another job, think about what you're risking. Is your stress level at work? Think about the things that you're risking. It's your stress level at work. Even if it is challenging for you to move on to another job, start to think of how you can move on from there. I mean, it's about not just sitting down and thinking that, okay, this is a job I'm doing. I can't stand it. I hate my job. And you're on the same spot. We need to think ahead. We need to think ahead and further. Is it worth creating a huge amount of stress in your life for a paycheck? That's the answer that you and I will have to ask ourselves, and we'll make sure we answer. Weigh your options together. Weigh your options together. Recognize the excuses that you're making and how they will be putting your health in danger. I'm going to try and go through these things I'm reading out to you one by one. Do not let fear dictate your life. Is it worth creating a huge amount of stress in your life for a paycheck? Third one, recognize the excuses that you're making and how they could be putting your health in danger. So yes, you make an excuse, okay, I need to pay this, I need to pay this. So you do 3, 4, 5 jobs because you're building a house in Nigeria that you only go there once a year. You probably stay there maximum of 3 weeks in the whole of the year. And God forbid anything happens to you. Very likely your children that live here, they're not going to go back home to live there. So why do we put ourselves under so much pressure? Stress is sometimes caused by the pressure that we have allowed the society and also ourselves to put on us. And we need to walk away from there. We need to walk away from it. Putting ourselves under unnecessary stress would actually lead to a physical decline. So you need to learn how to put your stress bucket to a maximum where you recognize, you know what, when my stress gets to this level, I need to let the bucket out. I need to let the bucket out. Instead of accepting things as they are, think about your ultimate goal and adopt a growth mindset. Think about where you want to be. Don't accept where you are at the moment, because these are the things that can actually lead to stress. Aside from your job, your finances, you should also be aware of these 5 health triggers and how they can negatively impact your well-being. Okay, I know that Samuel mentioned one earlier, which is poor diet. Poor diet. A lot of us eat horribly. A lot of us don't eat balanced meal. So we think, you know, I know some people who can eat rice in the morning, rice in the afternoon, and the rice in the evening. Some people would eat eba in the afternoon and gari at night. You know, our diet, high carbohydrate diet, do not really help. There has been an empirical and a statistically proven that there is a very strong link between our food and our mood. We're going to cover that sometime soon. Very likely we're going to have a seminar on that. How our food can actually affect our mood. Another thing that can negatively impact our well-being is aging. And this is something that a lot of us don't sometimes like to talk about, especially men when they're in their middle age. This is one question I probably would have loved to ask Samuel, because I know that, you know, we all use this word, middle-age crisis, middle-age crisis. But the truth is, middle-age crisis is real. Middle-age crisis is real. People, when we all get to our middle age, there's that sense of decline, more like it, if I can use the word. There's a sense of decline, that things are going down. Things are going downhill. And people's attitude starts to change. You tend to kind of think that things, you know, there's no point changing, and we want to kind of accept the status quo. And no, you shouldn't. Another thing, I'm mentioning 4 things, and I'll kind of recap over them later. Things that 5 health triggers and how they can negatively impact our well-being. Poor diet and exercise, when you don't exercise well. Aging is one. Illness is one. Cost and access to healthcare, maybe not here, but in Africa, in countries where they have to pay for their healthcare, it is a major issue. Over here, we're very blessed, we're very lucky that we have the NHS that we can all access. But in places like Africa, in places like Asia, and also places like America, the cost and access to healthcare sometimes can affect the attitude of people towards seeking help for their physical health, including their mental well-being as well, because people are scared that it's going to affect them. How would they cope? I mean, where would they get the money from? So it does affect them. And then the 5th thing, like I said, is stress. Stress. We need to take control of the factors that influence our well-being. We do need to take control of them. We cannot sit down on the spot and expect things to change. We need to take ownership of them. Thank you all so much for joining us today. There are various stresses that we've mentioned. We've talked about the stress bucket, how there's a need for you to know when that bucket gets high, you need to release the stress by using various factors. We've talked about exercise, we've talked about dancing, we've talked about grouping together with your friends, like Samuel does with this band of boys. You know, we all need to devise and develop things that we think would help us to cope with our various stress levels. Recognize what the stressors are. Put coping mechanism in place. It's not going to be the same for everybody. For somebody, maybe to dance. For somebody, maybe to sing. Understand what yours is. Understand what it is. And own it. And like I said, please don't live your life to other people's expectation. Cut down it's good to be well-driven, but don't drive yourself too hard, because you have only one life to live. Only one life to live. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about mental well-being, stress and disability, stress and having invisible illness or visible illness. Yes, it's a topic that the person who I'm going to be talking with tomorrow, or we actually have two people that will be coming on air tomorrow, and we'll talk about this. It's a topic that we do need to talk about. How stressful is it when you're caring for somebody who is unwell? Do we sometimes take into cognizance the stress level of the carer? A lot of the time we overlook it. And I'm grateful for this country that we live in, where 2 or 4 years ago, we had the Care Act, where a significant part of that legislation actually looked into the needs of the carer, the needs of the carer. So there's one of the needs. Okay, don't let me preempt what I'm going to say tomorrow. I'll wait till tomorrow and I will talk about them tomorrow. Well, thank you so much. Let's share this video. Let's continue this conversation in our community. Like Samuel said, it's a conversation we cannot stop. A lot of us need to keep talking about it. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, feel free to inbox me. We'll talk about it tomorrow. And did you get a green ribbon for yourself today? Did you get a green ribbon? If you didn't, or if you see anybody who is selling it, please donate to the various mental health causes that are out there in the community. We need money to put a lot of things together. We need money. So please donate, support Mental Health First Aid, Mental Health First Aid England. There's Mind, there's Rethink, there's Head Start, and of course there's the Nous. There's the Nous organization. Don't forget the Nous organization. Feel free to donate if you want to. It's a not-for-profit, limited by guarantee organization. Feel free to support us, inbox. We're a company that has integrity, and anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining, and God bless you. Have a very good evening, and share this video, and see you tomorrow. Thank you. God bless. Bye.